Hey guys, how's it going? Tony Segovia here. In today's video, you guys, I'm going to be talking about becoming the leader that your audience needs and wants, all right? By following 3 simple steps, right? So step number 1 would be creating and giving shape to your attractive character, right? So by attractive character, I don't mean, a physically good-looking person, right? Although that attractive character might be good-looking, I don't mean that. By attractive character, I mean that character, that persona that's going to attract your ideal customers into your audience, that is going to build up an audience made up of people that are interested in what you're offering and people that will be looking up to you, right? That's what I mean by attractive character. And an attractive character needs to have 4 main things, right? A backstory, talking parables, needs to be, that attractive character needs to needs to transmit or communicate his or her flaws, and also that attractive character needs to be polarizing, needs to take advantage of the polarity that he or she generates, right? Those are the 4 things that an attractive character needs. I'm going to go through them in a deeper level in future videos, but basically the very first thing, like I said, that attractive character needs is a backstory. An attractive character needs a backstory, something that gives that that attractive character a context that people within the audience that you want to create can relate to, right? Why? Because people are always interested in knowing the origin story of that person, or knowing where everything started, or knowing what's been the journey that attractive character went to. Why? Because they want to know what it was like, and also they will relate to that context. They will relate to that backstory, right? That's why you need a backstory, so that people within your audience relate to that, and also your backstory needs to be related to that offer that you're promoting, to that offer that you're serving people with, to that offer, product or service that you're selling to your audience, right? That's point number 1, right? The backstory. Point number 2 would be, talking in parables. Parables are basically short stories that illustrate a relevant point that you're trying to make. Remember when we were kids, remember when you were a kid and either your dad, your mom, your uncle, your aunt, your grandmother or your grandfather told you a bedtime story? I don't know you guys, but I still remember some of the bedtime stories that my grandmother used to tell me when I was a kid. And the reason we want to use parables for our attractive character is because people, will remember. First of all, people find much more interesting a story. They tend to pay more attention. Number 1. Number 2, it tends to illustrate the point better, rather than throwing around facts and data and numbers. If you try to explain your point through a story, that's going to stick for way longer time in your audience's minds, right? It's going to stick for way longer. Why? Because people remember stories. People are more interested in stories. People, tend to really imagine and visualize and really see what you're trying to, and really see, that point that you're explaining to them through a story, and like I said, it's something that keeps them interested, rather than throwing around facts or numbers, like I said, right? So you need your character to talk in parables, right? That's point number 2. Point number 3 would be, you want your attractive character to transmit his or her flaws, right? Why do you want this? Simple, because perfection doesn't exist. Perfection doesn't exist. It's not real. We all have our flaws. We all have, our weak points, right? We all have our weak points, and when your attractive character projects his or her flaws, people start, not only relating with that character, but also empathizing with it. Why? Because it's something that's close to reality. It's something that's close to reality. Like I said, we all have our flaws, and we all have our weak points, In my personal case, I struggle with time management. I struggle with keeping myself organized, right? I tend to be I tend to distract myself very easily, and like I said, I tend to, at the same time, I tend to struggle with time management and organizing my day-to-day activities. That's something that I admit, and I admit it openly because, like I said, no one's perfect. No one's perfect, and I'm pretty sure that at the other end of that lens, I'm pretty sure that some of you guys that are watching me out there, I'm pretty sure that some of you, have that same problem that I have, or at least have one of those problems that I have, or those flaws that I have, right? So again, you want your attractive character to project his or her flaws, because those flaws not only makes people, relate to that attractive character, but also makes people empathize with him or her, right? That's point number 3. And point number 4 for that attractive character will be taking advantage of the polarization that he or that that attractive character generates, right? Why is this? Because a lot of the times when we're taking our content out there and when we're talking about stuff, sometimes we might be very conservative, and we might be very careful in regards to what we're sharing, in regards to what points of view we have, in regards to what what our standpoint is in regards to a certain topic. And this is very, like I said, this is a very safe zone, and it might sound like the obvious and the most logical thing to do, but it's not. You know why? Because being neutral in regards to certain topics, or being neutral in regards to anything really, it's very boring, and it's something that people don't look up to, and people actually don't even respect. People just don't even notice you if you're very neutral in regards to many different different topics or different things, right? If you stand strong, or stand strong, in regards to a certain belief, in regards to a certain topic, if you truly believe in something, if you truly express your real opinions in regards to a tough topic, people will start looking at you, people will start noticing you, people will start following you. Why? Because there's a lot of people that will have that same belief that you have, and there's a lot of people out there that also have that same point of view, or that same opinion in regards to that topic that you're talking about, right? And of course this is scary. Why it's scary? Because as there's going to be a lot of people that love what you're talking about, that love what you represent, that love the things you believe in and the opinions you have in regards to a certain topic, there's a lot of people that are going to disagree with you. There's a lot of people that are going to hate you. There's a lot of people that are going to find you annoying and delusional, and they simply won't agree with you and won't like you. But that's natural, and that's all right, because like I said, even though you're going to be generating haters, you're also going to be generating a group of people that love you, a group of people that become those raving fans that always want to know about what you're doing, about what you're offering, about what you're really communicating out there. They really respect and believe in the message that you're transmitting. And like I said, that can cause polarization, but you have to take advantage of that. Your attractive character has to take advantage of that. Because I didn't mention this in the beginning, but that attractive character can either be yourself, or it can be someone else. But that attractive character needs to take advantage of polarization. Needs to take advantage of that, right? Those are the 4 things that attractive character needs. That was step number 1. Giving shape and crafting your attractive character. Step number 2 would be maintaining absolute certainty, right? Now, the way you the way you develop that certainty that I'm talking about is through the constant, generation of content, through the constant, through constantly posting, valuable content, through constantly, putting yourself out there. Why? Because the way you develop your voice, the way you develop, that voice, that message, the way you transmit things will develop as you as you practice and as you create that daily valuable content. Right? Doesn't matter in which platform. It can be YouTube, it can be TikTok, it can be Instagram, it can be Facebook. Doesn't matter, In this case, the platform is not that relevant. What's relevant is that you create that content, and that you find and try out new things and you start finding out, in what things in what platforms or what type of video, or sorry, what type of content format you feel most comfortable doing or creating, right? So that's extremely important. And at the very beginning, I'm not going to lie to you, it's something that you're mostly going to be doing for yourself, like I said, in order to find that voice, in order to find that differentiating point that will make you stand out and communicate your message, right? You want to communicate that message constantly, because like I said, the very beginning is something that you'll do mostly for yourself, because a lot of people are not going to, at the very beginning, you might not get any views, might not get any attention, people might not even look at you. But as time goes by and as you start developing, this voice and communicating your message through, for example, video content, that's the way I'm doing it, through video content, slowly but surely people will start paying attention, people will start looking at you, and people will start, oh, look at this guy. I mean, he really knows what he's talking about. Oh, look at this guy, he's taking this very seriously. I really like what he's doing. Boom. And that's the way you start generating your following, right? And the third and final step that you want to follow in order to become that leader that your audience needs and wants is, don't be boring. You do not want to be a boring person, right? You don't want to be boring. Why? Because by boring, I don't mean that you have to be like, well, we know that entertainment sells, right? That's for sure. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about which topics I'm mostly talking about actually the topics and the message that you transmit to your audience, right? And well, one of my favorite authors, Russell Brunson, that's his name. He talks about the prolific index. Well, first of all, he talks about being prolific, and in his own words, prolific means someone that has that has tons of inventiveness, right? Someone who's very creative and is always coming up with new ideas. And he talks about this prolific index, in which there exists, there are two main zones: the mainstream, the crazy zone, and the prolific zone, which stands right in the middle of both of these zones, right? The mainstream zone is, something that the vast majority of people talk about, is something that you can find anywhere and everywhere. It's something that, is everywhere you look, right? And the crazy zone is something that is very alienated, and it's something that is very like shocking and very, it's actually a bit, let's say, it's something that people simply won't ever try, and it's something that people simply won't ever relate to, because it's very extreme, right? So I'm going to put two very simple examples. So in the mainstream, for example, let's talk about food in the sense of, in the sense of eating habits, right? So, the mainstream would be, for example, if I come here and I start talking to you about the food pyramid, right? Always eat your fruits and vegetables. You always want to stick to that food pyramid. That's extremely boring. Why? Because everybody's doing so. You can find this information everywhere, and it's something that's not, like I said, it's something that is not going to make people notice you, because it's something that a lot of people, and a lot of places, a lot of people talk about this food pyramid, right? So it's not going to make you pop, stand out and basically get noticed, right? The other side of the spectrum, the crazy zone, would be that I talked to you about, the water diet, the water-based diet, where the only thing that you can consume on your day-to-day, on a daily basis, is water, just water. And that's that's an extreme, right? That's something very few people are going to be doing, because, giving up food and just drinking water, the only thing that you can consume is water. That makes no sense for a lot of people, and it's very crazy, right? But the middle part, of this would be, and it's actually, it's actually an example that this guy Russell Brunson uses in his book. The middle part would be something like the bulletproof coffee, for example. I don't know if you heard of this, but there was this one guy. Right now I don't remember his name, but there was this one guy that decided to add, butter to his coffee, and suddenly he realized that that gave him tons of energy and made him feel good, right? Now, it's something that, like I said, is not crazy enough that you would never try it, right? It's something that you might sound weird at first and be like, what are you talking about? Adding butter or adding coconut oil to my coffee? That's weird. But it's something that you might have the courage to try. It's not crazy enough that you wouldn't try it, but it's not mainstream enough that you're like, but everybody does that, right? So that's the thing, that's what sells. Or for example, I just thought about this, talking about, again, eating habits and certain things you can eat, talking about superfoods, talking about the consumption of superfoods, or talking about, certain alternatives for, people who don't like red meats and white meats, but want to get their proteins, right? So I start talking about certain protein alternatives, or I start talking about, certain diets or certain things like I know this is something that has gained tons of popularity as years went by, but the keto diet, or keto diet, well, that's an example of a prolific zone, right? Because it's something that you might sound crazy, but people are willing to do so, right? So guys, that's been it. I think I need to stop here because it's starting to rain. But guys, I hope you liked it. Hope you found it valuable. If you did, I'm starting to create a Facebook group, a private Facebook group where I'm going to be sharing tons of valuable content, and where I'm going to be sharing advice and tips and tricks with my audience that will help them either start their online businesses from scratch, as well as develop and scale their current businesses, right? So guys, hope you liked it. Hope you found it valuable, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Take care and keep on hustling.